what we're looking at here is Leap, and Leap is, if you're familiar with similar tools like this, like we said, it's a AI-based tool for developers building real-world applications. And I just to give us a bit of a starting point, I have put together a simple prototype of a music streaming application. And this is like, if you've looked at other tools, this is quite a common use case because pretty much everybody is familiar with something like Spotify. Marcus and I, before we founded Encore, we were both at Spotify together with a large chunk of our founding team. So it also felt like a good callback to that. So what is Leap? Well, let's just take a look at what I built here. So here you can see a very Spotify-like application where you have your menu navigation here, you have your sort of content window where you have artists and you have albums and you have tracks. You can also
I realize now that the Spotify color scheme, for some reason, is very similar to the Leap color scheme. We used to call it Stockholm Black at Spotify. So maybe you need to even like, if you've never seen Leap before, maybe you need to clarify like which part is Leap and which part is your app that you're building.
Oh, very good point. Okay, so if we start here, this is the main view that you see when you open Leap. Here on the left-hand side, you have a chat history where you can interact with the AI and have it generate code for you. And we'll get more into this in just a moment. On the right-hand side, we have the code view, and here you have build logs, real-time logs from the system. Test logs are coming soon, and up here you have things like code search and code structure and things like that. On the top navigation here, you have preview, which is what I was showing. So this is a live preview of the application that you built together with Leap. So here is the navigation bar, and then this is the content, which is like a live view of the application you built. I can open it in a separate tab too. This is the full screen view of the application that we built. So hopefully that clarifies where what the application looks like versus what Leap looks like. So just embedding this in an iframe here. So before we look at Leap, let's look at this application. So what we have here is a very simple Spotify-like experience. You can click into artists, so you have artist pages. You have a description of the artist, you have albums, you have songs, and it just looks and feels very much like if you've ever used something like Spotify, like it feels very, very, very at home. And that's all well and good, but where Leap starts to distinguish itself from other tools is this is a full stack application. This is these things that we're serving, they're not placeholder content. In fact, if we look here, if we open up the logs section here, you can see that as I'm navigating here, that's actually making API calls to a real backend. So we can take all of these things and we can actually play real music. So you're not going to hear this, but if I take this and I hit play, you can see that it actually starts playing. And this is serving content from object storage. I can jump ahead in the stream. I can pause. I can play. All of this is done using real-world backend business logic. I also have I've added an AI back office where I can go in, And here, because it wouldn't be an AI demo if it didn't involve AI of some sort, I can actually generate artists for sort of placeholder content. So let's say that I want to generate an indie singer, songwriter from Denver who specializes in cat music.
How did you know that was my favorite kind of music?
Well, it's a very commonplace request, and I figured I know you quite well from working together with you for a couple of years. So here we can see that as this is happening, it's making an API call to the back office service, which is then generating all of this. Under the hood, this is then using OpenAI to do the generation, and now it's generated a complete artist. So now if we go back here to the homepage, we can see that we have a new artist here, Whisker Harmonies. And this has been all been generated, and here are the tracks. Now, what's particularly cool about this is we don't just support generating placeholder content. We can even go in and we can upload audio directly. So if we say actually, let's upload some audio for the Catnip Dreams song as a back office administrator, then you can actually start playing this. So it truly is a full stack application that you can really build real world things. Now, if we take a look at the rest of Leap here, we can see that we have the preview pane. Then we also have the architecture view. So this is showing the full power of Leap, where this is powered by Encore, which is our backend development framework. And Leap has actually constructed a backend application consisting of 5 different backend services. So you have the playlist service, you have the tracks, albums, and artists services. They each have their own databases. And then we have the back office service that is also using these other services and their databases to orchestrate its work. We can take a look on the infrastructure page, and here you can see that you can define secrets. I've added my OpenAI key here so that I can generate part of that. We have all of the compute that's running. We have all the databases that are running. And we have object storage buckets for storing things like album covers and artist images and track audio. And then we have the service catalog where you can see the full API endpoints and services that have been created for every endpoint in the whole system. And all of this is generated automatically through the power of Encore together with Leap. You can also call these directly from the service catalog and see the responses. So here are the artists and their the albums that have been defined in this application.
So
That's all
that's
very good.
calling the database of that service basically in the
Yeah,
preview
so
environment.
exactly. So this is making an API call to the backend, and the backend itself is then querying the database to return all of the albums. So
And
that's
this is
all.
all defined in the application and run in Leap. You don't need to connect any third-party platform, no Supabase, no anything like that.
Exactly. So this is the core experience of what it means to use Leap. Now, the way it works is here on the left. It wouldn't be a demo if we don't actually build something. So I'm going to take what I added most recently, which is the ability to upload images, and I'm going to press merge change. And what this does is Leap essentially breaks down your changes into it breaks down the work you do into what we call changes. And you can think of each change as like a pull request, where as you're working on something, you can then uh, iterate until you're happy with it. And once you're happy with it, you can merge it. And if it doesn't end up the way you want, you could also discard it. But in this case, we're happy with the functionality, so I'm going to merge this. And once you merge something, then Leap will give you suggestions on what you can do next. And all of this is powered by AI, and it's based on the functionality that is already present in the application and what the AI thinks is like a good next step. Now, in this case, if I go to light songs, nothing happens. In fact, if I open up the logs, we can see that there is no route for the light songs. And that's because it hasn't been implemented yet. So I'm going to go ahead and go with the recommended feature to implement here. And this will then populate the prompt with a suggestion on what to do. And we're just going to go ahead and submit that. And it will, the AI will start to generate code, and we can actually follow along with this. We can see that it's generating now a new service. It's generating a new database. It's adding a database table. And then it's adding API endpoints. You can see that it's very fast at generating code. All of this is powered by Claude Sonnet 4 at the moment, but we're constantly, of course, keeping up with new model releases. We're also using other models for other features, but the code generation itself is powered by Claude 4. So while this is generating, we can also take a look at, just to give you a sense of how quickly you can build real applications like this. You can see that I actually started building this less than an hour ago when the demo started. So it took me about 40 minutes to get to a point where I had like a fully up and working end-to-end full stack Spotify music streaming application with albums and artists and AI generated back office, playing music, all of that.
And I know for a fact I was bugging you with some questions from our users at the same time. So we were answering people on Discord while you were doing that.
Yeah, so hopefully that goes to show just how powerful something like this can be at, building real world applications extremely quickly. So we'll wait until it's done with the code generation.
So while we're waiting, we have a question from Ethan. Is this a once in a lifetime, it took me 40 minutes, or is it a common pattern you saw during testing?
This is not a synthetic example whatsoever. We've trained this a lot on all the knowledge about Encore as a backend framework. It's really good about understanding React as it is. We put together all of that with all the infrastructure that it supports. What we may see here is Encore does a lot of code analysis and static. You can see here the validating step here. So after it generated code, it goes through a lot of validation to make sure that everything compiles, everything type checks, and if it doesn't, it will automatically fix things before it considers the code generation to be done. So that means that it's very, very high quality code. It almost always works right out of the box, and so it's not at all a unique experience in that sense. So let's see. Now let's see if this works. So I click like songs, and you can see that it's now hovering as a green icon. If I go to like songs, I have it right there.
There you go. The nice cover art as well.
Exactly. Now you can also say like show the green heart even when not hovering over the track, because that's I think that would look nicer, and then it will keep going and tweak that. But what's really powerful about this concept of changes is that it gives you as a developer control over the context. Because now as I'm making changes here, all of the context from previous chat messages will be included, because that's typically what you want when you're, making adjustments. The large language model really needs to know about what you've talked about in the past. But a downside of that is that the context window can get very long over time, which both reduces quality and it uses up more tokens, right? So when you press merge, all of that will be collapsed. And when you create a new change, you essentially get a new chat history from scratch that only includes like the project context, the like summarize of all the changes and the code base. And that means that you have much more control over what context gets included as you're developing.
So the recommended sort of way of working is to keep your changes so focused on a specific feature or a smaller change, and then merge it as you would a pull request and start a new one when you're starting a new feature.
Yeah, exactly. So you can really think of changes as pull request. So
And
now we can see that it's all it's visible all the time. So now
it's
I can go
nice.
ahead and like other things, and they will
But
show up here.
that hover effect is quite ugly with the white box. Maybe you can show the manual way of changing that, or am I throwing you under the bus? So you don't have to use the LLM, right? If you want to be focused and you know how to fix things, you could do it yourself, right?
Yeah. So if we go to let's see the favorite button here, you can see here that all of this is you can just click on the button, you'll end up here, and you can see that we have things like the code itself. Now, I'm not sure if that's where it's located or if it's actually here. Let's see what the diff says. So anytime when the LLM makes any changes, uh, you see here the diff. So you can click there to jump to the diff itself. So here we can see that this is embedding the favorite button, and if we then jump to the favorite button, now I'm not an expert on all of this, so I would need to do a bit of research into exactly what I would need to change. But let's say that instead of doing that, we could say, let's just remove this and see if that helps. I'm a backend developer, not a frontend developer.
That's the problem.
Exactly. So now if I hit, you can see that it says I have unsaved changes. I hit save. And what will happen is that will get recorded as a manual code change, which will then be built. And then if I go over to we can see here that, okay, well, that's much better. So now the heart stays colored the same way.
That's good. So by doing that manually, you saved a few tokens. And on that topic, we have a question from the audience. How many free credits do you get to first test it out?
So to test it out, we don't publish the exact number of tokens because we are still iterating heavily on like how we're optimizing the token spend, how we are sort of like how we can more effectively use caching, things like that to reduce the token spend. And we're also iterating to make sure that we can provide a good free experience without forcing you to pay, because as you know, like large language models are quite expensive to run. So we can't just give all of this away for free. We need to actually pay the bills. But so we haven't nailed down exactly the number of tokens that are part of the free tier just yet. So we do plan on saying or documenting that when we feel more comfortable with the level of usage and how people are using it.
But until then, you can go, if you show the subscription page, you can see your token usage. So even if you're on the free tier, you can see sort of your monthly usage. And on the free tier is also a daily limit, just because we have so many free users, and we're actually limited by the AI model providers themselves in how much capacity overall we get to use right now. So there's a daily limit and then a monthly limit. So if you're a free user, you can use it for a while each day, and then up to a certain monthly limit as well. And then if you choose to pay, you can use all of your monthly tokens whenever you like.
Yeah. I should note when I started this project, I had worked on other example projects too. So, but as you can see, this is like a real world application, and I'm not even close to even using up the smallest paid plan that we have. So you can come very far on the paid version, and our goal with the free version is you should definitely be able to build something real with that. You just might not be able to do all of it in a single day because of the capacity constraints, like Marcus was mentioning. Cool. So I'm gonna merge this change, and now you can see that now we have new suggestions on what to do next. But instead of doing that, I figured we should take this to the real cloud. So if I click deploy here, you can see that this is our deploy page, and unlike a lot of other tools, we understand that developers actually need more than just a single environment. So with Leap, you can connect your own cloud and deploy to there, and you can have multiple environments and deploy to them individually. So I've already created this before, so we can take a look at that shortly. So what I want to do first is I want to connect and set up a GCP environment. So I'm going to press create, connect. This will then open up a modal where you can put in a name of the environment. I'm going to say let's use Cloud Run because that's quite fast. You can also deploy to Kubernetes. You can import existing clusters. You can split things into multiple deployments, and you can choose how you use which database provider, which object storage provider. We're just going to go with.
So before you click next, maybe we can give people a hint here that why this pop-up is off-white in color, and that's the Encore colors. So whenever you use Leap's built-in deployment functionality, that's powered by Encore Cloud. And a small hint when you're interacting with it is these white colors, right? So you know you're creating an environment using Encore Cloud. But you don't have to. That's not the only way of deploying, right? So you could click the GitHub button and sync your code to GitHub, and then use open source tools to deploy your app wherever you like, packaged as a Docker container. But it's good to keep in mind, like whenever you see this off-white color, you're using Encore Cloud, which provides like free hosting environments. And then with our Encore Pro tier, you get these automations for AWS and GCP.
Yeah, that's a very good call. So you can see here, it's a bit darkened now because I'm opening the modal, but this is our GitHub integration. So all of the code that Leap generates, you can have that automatically synced to GitHub, and then you can use, like Marcus mentioned, you can use any tool of your choice you can deploy to DigitalOcean, you can deploy to Google Cloud, AWS, anywhere that supports running Docker images. Encore has built-in open source tooling for that. So this is just a convenience to deploy to the cloud quickly, but you don't have to use it. All of the code that Leap generates is entirely yours. And Encore as a backend framework is entirely open source, so you can use that to deploy wherever you would like. Cool. So now I've created a GCP environment. I can press deploy, and now it is going to deploy. So I'm going to click here to view the deploy logs. And here we can see that we have this new GCP environment. And what happens next is now we're looking at Encore Cloud. So this is a cloud and DevOps automation platform that we have built. It's also designed to work with Encore as a backend framework. And now you can see that after it built and ran all of the tests and compiled everything, it will provision a bunch of cloud infrastructure. So we can see that it's provisioning cloud run instances. It is provisioning a database cluster. Inside of that, we have all of the databases that our application has configured. And all of this is based on the source code itself. So it's all based on the architecture diagram here. So these are exactly the same databases. And then we have object storage buckets, and then a whole bunch of other resources. So it's reserved IP addresses and projects and access controls and permissions. And this is the complexity that the Encore Cloud automates and simplifies for you. So as soon as this is all created, then it will take over and start deploying.
What's maybe important to call out while we're looking at that is that while you can see these resources here via the Encore Cloud dashboard, you can equally see them in your, in this case, GCP cloud environment as well. So you could open the GCP console, you could look at them there and configure them there, just as you would normally as well. So it really gives you some full control and full transparency into how things are set up.
Yeah, exactly. So I think while we're waiting for this, we can take a look at how this looks for Encore Cloud. So I set this up for the demo, but this is the other environment that has been that we've deployed to, and this is using Encore Cloud's free tier built-in hosting. So once you have that in place, then you can view all of that. You can view traces and see exactly what's happening there. And you can even, this is the deployed version of the application. But let's see if this is ready now. Not quite. Unfortunately, when we're waiting on things like a database cluster, it takes a bit of time for it to actually be ready because it's Google Cloud. So we might not get to see that complete. But this is the staging environment that I deployed. No, sorry. This is the application that I deployed. So you can see that this is as a different artist name. This is because this is deployed to Encore Cloud, so it's not the not the preview environment that I deployed using Leap. It's a separate environment.
So that's
And
maybe also a key distinction from like how some of these other AI builders work, where when you're integrating with Supabase, you're sort of in the tool itself, you're working against maybe your real database, which can be pretty scary. Whereas here in Leap, the preview environment itself is completely isolated and separate from all your other environments, which is good if you're quick to press the deploy button or quick to press the merge button.
yeah, exactly. So here we can see, as we're waiting on the deploy to finish, we can see everything that's happening. We're still waiting on the Cloud SQL server to be created. Unfortunately, this takes like 20 minutes, so it will take some time before it's completed. But in short, that's Leap for you.